Le frêle guinargue l'hiver, le houx solide est toujours vert.
Le frêle guinargue l'hiver, le houx solide est toujours vert.
Pour la Noël, fleurissez-vous.
Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, last week, we had a very interesting subject on that we're all connected. And I'll put a reference to that last video up here because it will be advantageous for what we're going to talk about today. And so I'll read our subject for today off my paper. Shocking. Do you think you have free will? Do you think you have free will? Now, for thought, I could have put, do you believe you have free will? Because to think, you have to think through your belief system. And if you believe or think you have free will, that's a belief. Now, in the egoic world, in the illusion, of course you have free will. That's part of the underlying belief system within the egoic world. You have free will. You can do what you want, when you want. And that's the belief. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, in the description, there are several definitions of free will, all kinds of stuff. But I picked two just as examples. One of them is from Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and the other one is from Google search, defined from Oxford Language Dictionary. So, but I paraphrase those. So here's what we're going to talk about. Free will is, and then I came up with a paraphrase of these descriptions, which you're going to see in the video description if you look there. There's a lot of information in there. And here's what I came up with. Now see how it fits with your understanding when you look at all of the different describers of what free will is. I said a voluntary choice or decision without any constraints. Without any constraints. Constraints was a major part of almost all of them that I saw. Free of constraints. If you have no constraints, you can do free will. Now this is a concern. Look at the last video, and what it basically says is we're all interconnected. We all dance together. There is no separation. Now in the egoic world, the belief, everything is separate. Everything is separate. Because it fits in with the ego, with the idea we all got our own separate egos, and institutions have their own egos, and countries have their own egos, and everybody has their egos. That's why it's called the egoic world. So now we have this idea of free will. And in the egoic world, everything is separate. I'm separate from you, you're separate from me, you're separate from your neighbor, you're separate from your significant other, you're separate from your boss, you're separated from your car, you're separated, everything you can mention, you're separated from. Now, we're going to stop there for a minute. Just get that idea. Everything is separate in the egoic world. And we're going to talk about an ancient process called Hermetic Principles of Self-Mastery. And there are 7 of them, but we're going to talk about the second principle, which is called correspondence. Now, you have probably heard this and said, oh, that's a cute saying. Makes some sense to some people, but maybe not to you. And here's what it says. And you'll see it over here, because I'll put it up so you can reference it if you want. As above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. As without, so within. Now, this ancient principle is the fact that everything is interrelated. What happens there affects what happens here. What happens over there affects what's happening right now. There is no separation in the infinite field of everything. But we have a belief system that says we're all separate. But we have ancient wisdom that says nothing's separate. Now, when you look at this principle, I also put a reference to holograms. So when you make a hologram, you take a laser beam and then you put a splitter and you split the beam. One goes one way, one goes another way, and then you have a film or a disk, a storage unit, and an object that you want to store. And the one beam goes this way, hits the object, and then hits the film. The other one goes another way, hits the film first. Not first, they hit about the same time because it's a laser. But there are interference patterns that develop on the storage unit. So when you develop the storage unit, you look at what you have and it will be three-dimensional. It'll be a three-dimensional of the object that you are storing. Now that's interesting in itself. You say, whoa, look at it, I can get it. And you move it around, it will move around in different ways. It's quite interesting. But here's the thing about a hologram. If you cut it in half, both halves will have the total picture. Both halves will have the total picture. You won't see half here and half there. It'll be each one, you look at it, oh, there's the picture, oh, there it is, 3D. Now, if you take that half, or both halves, and you break it with a hammer or drop it, because they break like glass sometimes. You pick up a piece, oh my God, here's a piece. I wonder what piece I have. So you look at it, it's the whole picture. It's the whole picture. It's not a sliver. It's not a part like a jigsaw puzzle. It's the whole picture. Now what's the significance? You, at your essence, is the whole picture. You're the whole thing. Everything radiates from you. So now let's just relate that to free will. Now we have as above, so below, as within, so without. So everything, it's like, if you can kind of picture it, it's like we're all like this, standing right next to each other. Well, I can't move. I don't have free will, I can't move. Because for me to move, you have to move. For me to move, you have to move. For me to make a decision and follow that decision, you have to move. Everything is interconnected, and it is a dance. And the fallacy is you believe you're independent from the dance. That makes you separate. And you don't have to follow the music. You say, no, I'm going to step outside and I'm going to do what I want to do. Not unless I move too. So there is no independent movement. Now, in the egoic world, on the conscious level, now that's why I got this over here. You see? Conscious, subconscious. On the conscious level, you will rationalize. What's that mean? You'll move your mind in such a way that you will cause your belief to be true in the conscious mind. So you're standing there, and I want to move here. So in the conscious mind, I just move here. In the unconscious, the subconscious, the deeper mind, the one that is connected with the infinite field of everything, the one that is an extension of the all, it's all interconnected. And one conscious mind, no words. See, there's no words in the subconscious mind. The words all come from the conscious mind so that we can talk in the egoic world. In the subconscious mind, it's like mental telepathy. So I'm standing here and I want to go there, so my neighbor already knows what I'm going to do because we're interconnected energetically. I said, oh, you want to go there? Here, I'll move over. Oh, there you go. See, you can move right there. Okay. I want to move where you're at. Oh, I'll move over here. Now your neighbor's sitting right there. You're not going to know that you are making decisions at another level. As above, so below. You're not knowing you're going to make those decisions. They're out of your conscious awareness. On the conscious level, you say, well, see, I got free will. I can do anything I want. Well, that's not true, because society also has certain laws and regulations that will have constraints on what you do. Now, you can go so long if you don't want to pay your taxes, but sooner or later, you're going to be constrained. And you better pay your taxes. At least in the egoic world. Because in the egoic world, you are governed by the egoic belief system. Now, let's just say what the Course in Miracles says about this. Because it's very profound. And here's what, and you'll see it up here, so you can kind of look at the references and everything. There is no one who does not feel that he is imprisoned in some way. That's very short, so I'll say it again. There is no one who does not feel that he is imprisoned in some way. This is psychological. This is not at a conscious level. This is subconscious level. And so you are believe. See, if you feel feelings from the video two ago, what is emotions? Or do you have emotions? Or emotions, how do they affect the body? You'll find out that your feelings are based upon interpretations in your belief system. And as the Course says, to some degree, we all feel imprisoned by the egoic world. Constrained, emotional, psychological, religious, cultural, all kinds of constraints that constrain us. But we say in the egoic world, oh no, I'm not constrained. I have no constraints on me. And that reminds me of, oh, I just thought of it. Walt Disney and Pinocchio. And when he went away from home, and of course he was a puppet, but he was alive, so he could walk. He says, it's got no strings on me. I can do anything I want. And he found out he couldn't because they put him in a cage and they did all kinds of stuff. And that's what we do. We rationalize that we can do anything we want. Well, we might not do anything. I said, you know, he didn't want to eat this. But small things. Oh, I can go brush my teeth when I want. Not always. Well, I can eat when I want. Not always. So there is a coming together of the whole matrix. It's all tied together. Everything is tied together. And in the matrix, in the egoic world, you move, somebody else has to move. Not one person, a little bit here, a little bit there, but I'm going this way. And subconsciously, everything shifts. Everything dances. Everything is symbiotic, is another term. Symbiotic. They all gain from each other. And that's the way it is. So what is the answer? And while we think about that, I'm having a little green tea today with apple cider. And it is, it's one of my favorite things to add with the tea. So it is quite pleasant. I was kind of restrained because I had to go heat it up in a microwave because I took too long and it got cold and all kinds of stuff. I have a lot of restraints on me. So I want you to think about something else. You're in an illusion, and nothing is what you think it is. You are like on a stage, going around with your thoughts and your beliefs. Well, this is what I can do. I got free will. You're like on a stage. And part of you is like sitting in the audience, watching. See, when you're talking to yourself, or you're editing this video in your mind, who's listening? Who's listening to you talking when you talk to yourself? So you are the actor, and at the same time, you're the audience observing your response. And that reminded me of a play, and a lot of Shakespeare plays, and I was thinking of The Tempest. And and I'm going to reference that up here because I thought it was kind of interesting. Because as we go through life, see, I'm in the last stages, you might say, because that's how far I am down the line. And in this play, which was The Tempest, and he says, our revels now are ended. These are actors. As I foretold you, and are all spirits and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, egoic world, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherent shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant fade, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Our little life is rounded with a sleep. We are all one forever. Be good to yourself. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time we get together here in the illusion. Bye now.